As I mentioned already in my previous review, this and Parasitica were episodes that were aired out of order. I hate it when this happens, but that's not why you're here. Let's get to the review, what really matters. This is Mega Man NG, and we are back with another TMNT Season 1 episode review. Today we're going to be talking about episode 23 of Season 1, The Pulverizer Returns. And I have a lot to say about this. This is actually one of these episodes that, while it did have some good, there was one thing that kind of threw me off for a while. And you guys can already figure that out. So here's the deal. I'll be providing a summary of the episode as well as what I liked and the one thing that I disliked. Let's get underway. Shredder isn't pleased with the foot failing yet again and orders Dog Pound to steal tech from the Krang. Splinter, meanwhile, decides to train the turtles by having them swap weapons as a means of teaching them to adapt on the battlefield. It doesn't go well. But they soon find that the Foot Clan's after something, thanks to the Pulverizer. He wants to help the turtles provide intel, but things go from bad to worst when the Pulverizer becomes a test subject and a major threat. Now the odds are really not in their favor. Can the turtles be able to stop the Foot and find a way to save the Pulverizer before it's too late? Like I mentioned in my last episode review, this here is episode 23 according to the season code, despite saying that it's episode 22. In other words, like I said, aired out of order. And I did say it here, but may as well. It will not be the last time that this happens. Trust me, I already looked ahead into season 2, and I'm going to have a field day about that, trust me. And I may as well give shoutouts to a certain commenter that I kind of forgot their name. But anyway, yeah, the episode was alright. But there was one thing that really kind of bugged me. And it's the Pulverizer. Yes, he is still voiced by Roger Craig Smith. And after this episode, I can't think of the Pulverizer without thinking of Sonic the Hedgehog. Although I wouldn't be surprised if there was fan art of Sonic the Hedgehog dressed as the Pulverizer, just to rub it in. We actually know what happened to this guy. He now ends up part of the Foot hoping to train and get better, but he ends up becoming a distracted mook. A mook that pretty much serves as cannon fodder, pretty much, if you guys get my drift. And things only get really bad for this guy. We also learn his real name, Timothy. As far as the episode goes, it was actually pretty interesting. One of my favorite moments was the turtles having to learn a little lesson from Splinter, and that is learning to adapt on the battlefield. And interestingly enough, Splinter suggests that they swap weapons so that way they can adjust the fight. One of my favorite bits is that Don wielding the sai in one scene, as you're seeing in that screenshot that you see there, is a nod to 87 Raph, who surprisingly was voiced by Rob Paulsen. But however, even though they swap weapons, it doesn't go well, and Splinter decides to take their weapons away until they learn to adapt. And trust me, they do adapt later on. The episode also has a bit of a continuity nod, and I like how it ties into continuity well regarding Don and his responsibilities with the Pulverizer, hence why the first time Pulverizer appeared, personally, I felt that, yeah, I liked how it ties continuity well enough, but at the same time it also builds into character development as well. Especially for Donatello since, well, the Pulverizer pretty much was his responsibility, and what happens to him, it pretty much becomes a burden. Speaking of the Pulverizer, he ends up suffering the worst. Yeah, in the ending scene when the turtles were fighting against the Foot, having to learn to adjust and make weapons just to be able to fight against them, the Pulverizer ends up getting covered in mutagen, which turns him into a monster. Not just any monster, some sort of like blobbish creature, and you can actually see his innards. It's like creepy and a bit scary. To make matters worse, he actually does become a threat. Anything that it touches pretty much like acid. However, what I will say is that even though he does become a threat, Donatello and the turtles are able to end up trapping him in a mutagen capture jar. Yeah, I'm pretty poor when it comes to actually coming up with that, but I really feel bad for the Pulverizer. There were some favorite moments, such as Splinter's lesson on adaptability, as well as the big battle in the warehouse, but there was one thing I didn't like, and it was the Pulverizer himself. And I felt that the Pulverizer was what made the episode suffer a little bit. Yeah, he was just annoying. He was annoying as a character, yes, and I felt bad that he had to suffer because of it. But the guy was like a full-on fanboy. And yeah, I know he was a full-on fanboy and he wants to help. But there's a difference between helping and being reckless. And sadly, the Pulverizer got reckless and this is what happened to him. Very depressing, yes, but it won't be the last time we'll ever see him. Believe me, I know for a fact. We are down to about 3 episodes left, and the schedule for this is actually going to be pretty obvious. In fact, I'm rather torn over how I'm going to do this. Next week, I'll be reviewing episode 24, Operation Breakout. And I'm torn between whether reviewing episode 25, which is the first part of the season finale, or save all of that for next week on New Year's Eve, when I will be reviewing 25 and 26 as a big season finale review. I want to hear what you guys think, because I'm pretty torn about this, because if you know how I do season finale reviews, I really go off the deep end. I really go on the deep end because I want to make sure I get as much of it covered. If you guys have seen my Flash episode reviews, with the Season 2 review being my best work, then you know what that's like. However, with TMNT, there will not be a top 5 whatsoever because the entire season has been pretty great. And it still holds up to this day. Surprisingly, it still holds up. It really does. So how we're going to go about this, it will depend on you guys. So I look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments. My review for the episode will be in the description below, but if you want to know, I give it an 8. The episode's pretty decent. The Pulverizer was what killed it. And yeah, it won't be the last time we'll be seeing him. So that is pretty much it for this episode review. Next week, I'll be talking about my thoughts on Operation Breakout. Look forward to that when it happens. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button. It really does mean a lot to me. Want me to do more of these? Please show your support. I look forward to hearing you guys in the comments below. And trust me, I do reply to every comment. That is a fact. Alright, that is it. This is Mega Man NJ signing off. Peace out. Boo yakasha!